3 a.m. The penthouse is still lit, like it's afraid of the dark. Ice knocks against crystal. Slow, unapologetic. A Rolex lies carelessly on the marble counter, face down, as if time itself is something optional. The city hums 30 floors below. Sirens, distant laughter, a motorcycle tearing through an empty street. His phone vibrates again and again. He lets it. No introduction, no resume. Just a man barefoot on imported Italian stone staring at a skyline that looks like it belongs in a billionaire's Instagram carousel. He runs a hand through his hair. The glass is heavy in his palm. Not drunk. Not sober either. Just awake in a way most people aren't at this hour. The wardrobe behind him is open. Not messy. Just abundant. Designer jackets still holding the shape of the mannequins they were born on. Sneakers that have never touched dust. Watches arranged in rows like disciplined soldiers. Some people collect memories. He collects evidence. At 30, most men are negotiating rent or negotiating love. He negotiates contracts over champagne. He signs deals in rooms where the air smells like leather and power. People say his name with a mixture of admiration and calculation. Scott's Maphuma. There. Now you know. But he doesn't say it out loud. He doesn't need to. The car downstairs, matte black, low enough to scrape ego off the pavement, is probably still warm from earlier. He drove fast tonight. Too fast. Music loud enough to blur thought. Red lights became suggestions. The security guard at the entrance nodded the way people nod when they've seen money change gravity. There's a photo on the wall. Floor-to-ceiling print. Him in a tailored suit, jaw tight, eyes sharp. The kind of photo that gets reposted with captions about grind and manifestation. He barely remembers that shoot. He remembers the bill, though. He paid for it without blinking. He didn't grow up here. That part doesn't get framed. He grew up where ceilings were low and ambition had to whisper. Where luxury meant a full fridge, not a rooftop infinity pool. Where people said, be realistic, like it was a blessing. Now the fridge hums with imported water, flown in from somewhere with glaciers. The pool on the terrace reflects the city like it owns it. And realism. Realism is for people who didn't bet on themselves hard enough. He scrolls through photos on his phone finally. Private jet stairs. Hotel suites with views that make you forget your own name. A wrist stacked with diamonds heavy enough to pull an arm downward. A crowd screaming, hands in the air, lights flashing. He zooms in on one picture. Not of the crowd, but of himself in the middle of it. Expression unreadable. People think luxury looks like noise. Sometimes it's just quiet. He walks to the window, presses his forehead lightly against the cool glass. 30 years old. That number sits differently when your bank account has commas in it. 30 used to sound like pressure. Now it sounds like leverage. Friends from back then still text him, "Bro, you made it. Don't forget us. When are you coming home?" Home. He sends money. He sends gifts. He sends photos of sunsets from balconies they've never stood on. What he doesn't send is the insomnia, or the way silence stretches in a penthouse this big. There's a woman's perfume lingering in the air. Not love. Not quite. Just company. She left an hour ago, heels in hand, elevator doors closing without drama. He didn't ask her to stay. She didn't ask him to. This life is curated, controlled, edited before it's even lived. His schedule for tomorrow, technically today, is stacked. Interview at noon. Brand meeting at 3. Private dinner at 8. Somewhere in between, a stylist. Somewhere in between, a trainer. Somewhere in between, A moment where he looks in the mirror and sees not a dream, but a responsibility. Because when you live the life everyone wants, you stop being a person and start being proof. Proof that escape is possible. Proof that hunger can turn into marble countertops. Proof that a kid from nowhere can wake up surrounded by glass and chrome. But proof is heavy. He pours another drink, doesn't finish it. Sets it down half full like everything else in this place. Half-used candles. Half-read books about strategy and mindset. Half-written notes in a leather-bound journal he bought because billionaires have journals. He sits on the edge of the bed. White sheets. Too white. The kind that make you careful. He isn't careful, though. He never was. That's how he got here. Risk isn't a chapter in his life. It's the spine. There are moments, brief, almost embarrassing, when he wonders what would happen if he disappeared for a week. No posts, no sightings, no noise. Would they panic? Would they replace him? Would the algorithm grieve? His phone lights up again. A message from someone important. Another from someone beautiful. Another from someone who needs something. He doesn't answer. Outside, the sky begins to pale at the edges. Dawn creeping in without asking permission. The city shifts from neon to gray. Workers will wake up soon. Traffic will thicken. People will rush to offices with fluorescent lighting and plastic coffee cups. He will sleep then, for 3 hours, and when he wakes, he'll step back into it. The tailored suits, the engines that roar, the rooms where people measure each other in net worth and influence. At 30, Scott's Maphuma doesn't chase the life people dream about. He inhabits it. He breathes in air-conditioned ambition. He signs his name in ink that costs more than someone's monthly salary. He laughs in restaurants where menus don't show prices. He tips in ways that make waiters remember his face. And yet, 3 a.m. still finds him standing alone in front of a window, watching a city that doesn't know his thoughts. The Rolex is still face down. Time keeps moving anyway. 30. Not a headline. Not a motivational quote slapped on a black and white photo. Just a number that sits there and stares back. 30 years old. The cars downstairs outnumber the friends who still call without asking for something. Engines asleep under soft lighting, polished to a mirror shine. One for meetings. One for nights. One he bought because he could. The elevator knows his fingerprint better than most people know his laugh. Closet doors slide open like a showroom. Fabric from Milan, leather from Paris, sneakers sealed in boxes like museum artifacts. The total value of that wardrobe? Higher than the house he grew up in. Higher than the entire street, probably. But the bedroom? Too wide, too quiet. King-size bed positioned perfectly in the center of the room, as if symmetry could replace warmth. Pillows untouched on one side. The other side barely creased. Sheets so smooth, they don't remember him when he gets up. 30. Not young success, not rising star. Just a man who learned how to turn hunger into currency. His calendar is full. His dining table isn't. Marble kitchen island. 6 stools. He eats standing up most nights. Protein, espresso, something quick. The fridge stocked like a luxury catalog. The trash almost empty. There's a trophy on the shelf. Heavy. Gold-plated. Reflective. He doesn't dust it. The housekeeper does. It catches the morning light sometimes, throws it back at him like a question. He doesn't answer. 30 years old. A penthouse with floor-to-ceiling glass. A balcony large enough for parties he rarely throws. A pool that glows blue at night, whether anyone swims in it or not. Downstairs, the security team rotates shifts. Cameras blink red in corners. Privacy has a payroll. His phone has thousands of contacts. He scrolls past most of them. Old classmates post pictures of weddings, toddlers with cake on their faces, backyard braais, Ordinary Saturdays. He double taps. Keeps moving. In the garage, the matty black car waits. It smells like new leather every time. The engine responds instantly. No hesitation, no doubt. He appreciates that. People respond slower. 30. He remembers being 22 and impatient, 25 and aggressive, 27 and reckless. Now, calculated, sharper, less forgiving. Not softer, never softer. There's a bar cart in the corner of the living room, crystal decanters, bottles imported from places he's flown over. He pours rarely. When he does, it's not to celebrate. It's to slow the room down. He stands barefoot on cold marble again, watches the city exhale. Luxury isn't loud here, it's subtle. Custom lighting dimmed to a perfect glow. Automated curtains opening on schedule. Art pieces that cost more than most people's annual salary, hung casually like afterthoughts. 30. He owns more square footage than he can emotionally occupy. His watch collection could fund a small business. Some still have protective film on the clasp. He likes knowing they're there more than wearing them. The gym membership? Private. Exclusive. Empty at the hours he trains. His reflection in the mirror is disciplined, controlled, no softness around the edges. He doesn't post every win anymore. He learned that noise attracts hands. Some nights he drives with no destination. City lights streak across the windshield. He stops at red lights and studies his own reflection in the glass. Not searching, just checking. Still him. Still sharp. Still ahead. 30. He can book a flight without checking his balance. He can clear a table at a restaurant just by arriving. He can make a room stand up when he walks in. But he can't shrink the size of that bedroom. Can't make it feel less like a showroom. Can't make the silence smaller. There's a cigar box on the terrace table. Unopened. Bought during a trip that blurred into meetings and champagne and signatures. He keeps it there for aesthetic reasons. Even his props are expensive. The skyline doesn't applaud him. It just exists. A notification pops up. Proud of you, bro. Another. Let's collaborate. Another. Can you help me out? He swipes them away without anger, without gratitude, just motion. 30 years old, his bank app refreshes faster than old friendships. His driver knows his schedule better than his family does. His tailor measures him more often than anyone hugs him. Short sentences. No speeches. He stands in front of the mirror sometimes and studies the details. The line forming near his eye. The discipline in his jaw. The slight fatigue he hides well under good lighting. He doesn't look 30 in the struggling sense. He looks 30 in the expensive sense. He doesn't talk about sacrifice. He doesn't romanticize the grind. He simply continues. On the dining table sits a bowl of fruit that no one touches. It gets replaced weekly. Always fresh. Always decorative. Like certain friendships. Like certain relationships. 30. The penthouse lights turn off automatically at 2 a.m. if he forgets. Efficiency built into the walls. Systems everywhere. Control everywhere. Except in the space between heartbeats, when the room feels too big. He walks past the unused guest bedroom. Perfectly made bed. Neutral tones. No story attached to it. He keeps it ready anyway. Just in case. Just in case what? He doesn't finish that thought. The elevator ride from the basement to the top floor takes seconds. Long enough to watch numbers climb. Long enough to feel elevated. Short enough to miss the ground. 30 years old? The cars gleam. The closet shines. The bedroom echoes. And he moves through it all like a man who earned everything, and is still deciding what any of it actually means. He buys wine without turning the bottle to check the price. Not to impress anyone. Just habit. The waiter hovers for half a second, waiting for the nod. He nods. That's it. The bottle arrives like a quiet agreement between men who understand margins. He doesn't finish it most nights. At the hotel downtown, the one with the marble lobby that smells like something engineered to feel expensive. The staff greet him by name before he reaches the desk. "Good evening, Mr. Maphuma." They know his room preference. High floor, city view, late checkout, extra towels. They don't know he hates olives. They don't know he sleeps with one lamp on. They don't know he sometimes leaves the TV running just to fill the air. Luxury doesn't ask questions. It anticipates transactions. The balcony in his penthouse stretches wide, glass railings spotless, skyline spilling out like a promise. It's the kind of view people photograph and caption with ambition. He steps out there maybe once a week, stays 2 minutes. Long enough to feel the wind, not long enough to feel anything else. There's a scent in the apartment. Subtle, curated. Something woody. Something that whispers money without shouting it. He didn't choose it personally. An interior consultant did. She said it would elevate the atmosphere. The atmosphere was already elevated, 30 floors up. He owns a dining table carved from a single slab of stone. It seats 8 comfortably. He has never had 8 people over. The chairs remain aligned, perfect angles, untouched. A courier arrives sometimes with packages wrapped in thick paper and understated logos. He signs without excitement, opens them without ceremony. A jacket, a pair of shoes, a watch strap in a rare color. He removes the tags. He doesn't take photos. His phone contains images the public never sees. Not secrets, just unposted moments. A private jet runway at dawn. A half-eaten dessert in Monaco. A blurred reflection of himself in a champagne bucket. He doesn't need to upload everything. Some things are expensive enough without witnesses. The gym he trains at doesn't allow phones on the floor. Discretion is part of the membership. The mirrors are unforgiving. The equipment gleams. The air smells like steel and discipline. He moves through reps without music sometimes. Just breath. Just the weight rising and falling. Control in measurable increments. Outside, a driver waits. Engine idling softly. The car door opens before he reaches it. No applause, just routine. He tips without counting the bills. Not dramatic, just smooth. The kind of gesture that says he has stopped thinking in small numbers. At dinner meetings, menus arrive leather-bound, heavy in the hand. There are no prices printed. He appreciates that detail. It removes a layer of negotiation. The table conversation is about equity, percentages, timelines. Glasses clink. Laughter rises and falls. He speaks when necessary. Silence works in his favor. The chef once came out personally to greet him. He couldn't remember what he ordered. Back home, a grand piano sits near the window. He doesn't play. It completes the room. The keys are cool to the touch. He presses one occasionally. A single note. It lingers longer than expected. He has a safe hidden behind a panel. Not because he distrusts the world, because the world assumes he owns things worth locking away. Inside, documents, a few watches. Nothing sentimental. Sentiment doesn't fit easily into biometric locks. He owns luggage that has seen more airports than some people see cities. First-class lounges blur together. Quiet carpets, muted lighting, champagne on silver trays. He walks through security lines that don't feel like lines. He boards last sometimes, just because he can. On flights, he stares at the wing cutting through clouds. No headphones, no conversation. The altitude creates a kind of silence that feels honest. Back in the city, his building's lobby reflects him in polished surfaces. Marble, chrome, glass. His footsteps echo in controlled acoustics. The concierge once asked if he needed recommendations for the weekend. He said no. Weekends don't feel different up here. He owns art pieces selected by someone who used words like investment and timeless. They hang on white walls under precise lighting. Guests tilt their heads thoughtfully when they see them. He sometimes forgets what they represent. In his kitchen, there's a coffee machine that hisses like a small engine. Imported beans stored in airtight containers. He knows the settings. Strong. No sugar. He drinks it alone most mornings. The infinity pool on the terrace reflects the sky perfectly at sunset. Neighbors can probably see the blue glow from across the skyline. It suggests gatherings, music, movement. Most nights, it reflects nothing but still water. He owns more suits than occasions that require them. Tailored shoulders, sharp lines. The fabric holds structure even when he doesn't. He changes watches depending on the room he's entering. Steel for meetings, gold for events, rubber strap for casual days that aren't really casual. Nobody asks the time. The security system in his home recognizes his gait. Lights adjust when he walks in. Temperature shifts automatically. Comfort engineered down to decimals. He still wakes up some nights without knowing why. He keeps a bottle of water by the bed. Imported. Glass, not plastic. He drinks from it in the dark without turning on the lamp. The city outside keeps moving. Luxury doesn't clap. It hums. It exists in small permissions, not checking prices, not waiting in lines, not explaining yourself. It shows up in the way doors open before you touch them, in the way people step slightly aside without being asked. He doesn't narrate it. He inhabits it. The balcony remains wide. The wine remains unfinished. The staff remember his name. And somewhere between the marble floors and the muted skyline, Scott's Maphuma moves through a life that looks effortless, without ever announcing that it is. Money, lights, music leaking from speakers that cost more than someone's tuition. Hands on his shoulder. Laughter too loud. Glasses raised. Flash. Flash again. His name said like a password. Champagne spilling over knuckles. Velvet ropes moving aside before he reaches them. Security nodding. Someone filming. Someone whispering. Someone wanting something. He steps into it without hesitation. Tailored jacket. Watch catching the light. Shoes that don't crease. The bass vibrates through the floor. Through his ribs. Through the illusion that noise equals life. People orbit him. Questions fired like confetti. What's next? How does it feel? When did you know you'd make it? He smiles without answering fully. Doesn't need to. The room answers for him. More music. More light. A woman leans in close enough to smell expensive perfume layered over ambition. She laughs at something he didn't say. Another handshake. Firmer. Calculated. A photographer crouches for the angle. He adjusts slightly. Knows his good side. Knows how to hold still for half a second so the shot looks effortless. It always looks effortless. Outside, engines idle. Inside, the DJ says his name into the mic. Applause. For a moment, it feels like gravity bends. Then the night thins out. People leave in waves. Promises made. Numbers exchanged. Let's connect. Let's build. Let's do something big. Doors open. Doors close. The bass fades. Elevator ride up. Mirrored walls reflecting only him now. No crowd. No echo. Just the soft mechanical hum of ascent. The penthouse door unlocks with a quiet click. Silence doesn't rush in. It's already there. Jacket off. Watch placed on the marble. Shoes aligned by habit. Phone tossed on the counter. Screen still glowing. Notifications stacking. He doesn't read them. The air inside feels different from the air outside. Filtered, controlled, still. He walks past the living room where the city spills through glass. The skyline performing for no one. There's a faint ring in his ears from the music. It fades slowly. The refrigerator hums. Ice melts in a glass he didn't remember pouring. He stands in the middle of the room. No applause. No music. No one calling his name. He loosens his collar. Not dramatic. Just movement. Money. Lights. Music. Shoulders tapped. Doors opened. Then, nothing loud. He sits on the edge of the couch. Leather cool against his palms. The room doesn't react to him. It doesn't care what happened downstairs. He walks to the window, presses a hand against the glass. The city continues. Traffic lights switching. Headlights gliding. Somewhere, people argue. Somewhere, someone laughs. Up here, it's quiet enough to hear his own breathing. He doesn't turn on the TV, doesn't scroll, doesn't pour another drink, just stands. The art on the wall stares back in perfect stillness. The piano waits. The pool outside glows blue without invitation. He walks into the bedroom. The bed looks untouched, like a showroom display. He sits, then lies back without removing the rest of his clothes. Ceiling above him, clean lines, recessed lighting. He turns it off. Darkness arrives instantly. No stage lights, no strobes, no curated soundtrack. Just the faint glow from the city leaking around the curtains. Money in accounts he doesn't check daily anymore. Contracts signed. Deals closed. Cars parked. Watches ticking. And the space between one breath and the next stretching wider than it did in the club. He rolls onto his side. One pillow dips. The other remains perfectly shaped. He stares at nothing. Not searching. Not regretting. Just there. A faint buzz from the phone in the other room. Someone still awake. Someone still reaching. He lets it buzz. The night settles fully. Downstairs, security changes shifts. Across the city, cleaners mop dance floors sticky with spilled champagne. His name will still circulate tomorrow. Clipped into headlines, tagged in posts, whispered in meetings. Up here, no hecho, no bass, no hands on his shoulder. He closes his eyes. The silence doesn't applaud him. It doesn't criticize him either. It simply stays. Money, lights, music, applause. Door closes. Air still. And in that stillness, Scott's Maphuma lies awake longer than anyone downstairs would ever guess. He smiles in photos. Doesn't smile in elevators. 30. Phone at 4%. Battery low. He doesn't charge it immediately. Lets it blink red. Lets it wait. 3 missed calls. He saw them. Didn't answer. Suit on the chair. Still holding shape. Like armor that refuses to wrinkle. 30. Too young to slow down. Too visible to disappear. He walks past the mirror. Stops. Looks. Not long. Just enough. Jaw tight. Eyes alert. Something underneath. He doesn't name it. The pool outside is still. Perfect surface. No ripples. He throws nothing into it. Keeps it untouched. Control feels cleaner that way. 30. Bank balance rising. Patience thinning. He scrolls through old photos. A small room. Peeling paint. A mattress on the floor. He doesn't zoom in. Locks the phone. Places it face down. Again. Morning light cuts through the blinds. Sharp lines across marble. Across his face. He hasn't slept much. Doesn't complain. Complaints are for people with options. He has options. Too many. Driver texts. Outside. He types back. Coming. One word. Enough. In the car. City moving past tinted glass. Billboards. Traffic. People rushing. He doesn't rush. Meetings at noon. Studio at 2. Dinner at 9. Names. Faces. Deals. All scheduled. All polished. He nods when required. Laughs when expected. Pauses at the right moments. Performance without stage lights. 30. He orders espresso. Double. No sugar. Drinks it fast. Burns his tongue. Doesn't flinch. A man approaches. Handshake firm. Eyes scanning his watch. His shoes. His posture. Measurement disguised as admiration. He knows the look. He mastered it years ago. In the restroom. Alone. Cold water on wrists. Breath steady. He stares at the sink. Granite. Flawless. Like everything else here. He thinks of nothing. On purpose. Back to the table. More talking. More numbers. Sign here. Initial there. Pen expensive. Ink dark. Signature smooth. 30. People call him inspiring. He rarely feels inspired. He feels necessary. To the room. To the deal. To the brand. Necessary is heavier. Night again. Another event. Another room vibrating. He stands near the bar. Doesn't drink much. Just holds the glass. Profit. Cameras flash. He tilts his head slightly. Practice. Always practice. Someone says his name too loudly. He turns. Smiles. The right smile. Measured. Controlled. On the balcony of the venue. Alone for a second. City below. He checks his reflection in the dark glass. Still sharp. Still composed. 30. Too early to be nostalgic. Too late to pretend he doesn't know how this works. Back home. Shoes off. Tie loosened. Silence like a thick curtain. He walks through rooms that echo softly. Touches the piano keys. One note. Then another. Stops. He doesn't know a song. Doesn't try. Bedroom door half open. He leaves it that way. Not fully closed. Not fully open. He sits on the edge of the bed. Phone lights up. Proud of you. Miss you. Call me. He reads. Doesn't reply. The watch on the table ticks quietly. Mechanical. Precise. It doesn't care about applause. 30. The city hums. He lies back. Stares at the ceiling. Counts nothing. Plans nothing. Just breath in. Breath out. Somewhere downstairs, a car engine starts. Somewhere online, his name trends. Up here, stillness. He turns to his side. One arm under the pillow. The other resting on empty space. 30 years old. Too visible to fail. Too invested to stop. He closes his eyes. Sleep doesn't arrive immediately. It circles. Waits. Like everyone else. Morning. Curtains slide open by themselves. Light spills in without asking. He's already awake. Didn't move much. Phone in his hand. Screen glow on his face. 3 new messages. 2 invitations. 1 missed call from a number he hasn't saved. He doesn't react. Kitchen. Bare feet on cold marble. Coffee machine hisses. Steam curls up and disappears. He watches it vanish. Doesn't think about anything while it does. Cup in hand. Strong. Hot. No sugar. He stands by the counter instead of sitting at the long table. 8 chairs. All empty. Outside, the city is loud now. Horns. Construction. Voices layered over traffic. Up here, it's muted. He scrolls through headlines. His face in one of them. Good lighting. Sharp suit. Captioned with words he didn't choose. He reads it once. Locks the phone. Gym bag by the door. Black. Minimal. He lifts it. Elevator down. Mirrors on every side. His reflection multiplied. All identical. All composed. In the basement, the car waits. Engine already warm. Door opens. He slides in. The leather adjusts around him like it recognizes his shape. The driver doesn't ask questions. Music low. City passing in fragments. Billboards with other faces. Other stories. Traffic light turns red. He looks straight ahead. Doesn't check the phone. Green. Movement again. At the gym. Weights clank. Rubber mats. Mirrors. He lifts. Sets down. Lifts again. Breathing steady. Sweat darkens the fabric of his shirt. No one speaks to him directly. They look, briefly, then look away. He wipes his hands with a white towel. Drops it in a bin. Leaves. Back in the car. Sun higher now. His schedule stacked. Meeting room. Glass walls. Long table. Water bottles aligned. He sits at the head without announcing it. Others settle in. Laptops open. Slides projected. Graphs rising. He listens. Nods once. Speaks briefly. Room quiets when he does. He doesn't raise his voice. Doesn't need to. Contract placed in front of him. He flips pages. Stops. Signs. Pen clicks closed. That's it. Lunch. Private room. Low lighting. Plates arranged precisely. He eats slowly. Half of it left behind. Conversation continues without him for a moment. He stares at the wall. Abstract painting. Muted colors. No clear meaning. He likes that. Afternoon fades into evening. Another location. Another entrance. Camera flashes outside. He steps out of the car. Jacket fitted. Watch catching light. Smile ready. People call his name. He pauses just long enough. Turns slightly. Angles matter. Inside. Music again. Different crowd. Same energy. Hands reach. Phones raised. He nods. Moves through. Someone tells a joke. He laughs. Short. Controlled. Later. Bathroom mirror. Alone. He washes his hands. Water runs over expensive stone. He stares at his own eyes. No commentary. Just observation. Night. Back home. Lights automatic. Temperature perfect. He drops his keys on the counter. The sound echoes briefly, then stops. Shoes off. Jacket hung. Phone on silent. He walks to the balcony. Steps outside. City lights scattered like static. Wind brushes his face. He doesn't stay long. Back inside. Kitchen again. Glass of water this time. He drinks half. Leaves the rest. Living room dim. Piano untouched. Art still. He moves through rooms like a guest in his own place. Bedroom. Shirt unbuttoned. Watch removed. Placed carefully. He sits on the bed. Leans forward. Elbows on knees. Silence thick. No music. No applause. No commentary. Phone lights up once more. He doesn't pick it up. Lies back instead. Stares at the ceiling. Air conditioning hums softly. A car passes below. Headlights sweep across the wall for a second. Then gone. He turns onto his side. One pillow dips. The other remains smooth. Breathing slow. Not heavy. Just there. Outside somewhere, people are still talking about him. Inside, no one is talking at all. The night stretches. Unedited. Unposted. Unwatched. He closes his eyes. Not dramatically, just because it's late. And the room stays exactly as it is. Night. The curtains half drawn. City lights slipping through the edges like they don't respect boundaries. His phone lights up on the marble counter. One notification, then another. He doesn't reach for it. Air conditioning hums. Soft. Constant. The kind of sound that replaces conversation. Outside, somewhere below, a car alarm chirps, and then falls silent. Laughter drifts up faintly from the street. Someone celebrating something. Inside, no music. No voices. Just the low mechanical breath of the room. Scott's Maphuma. 30. Sitting on the edge of the couch. Elbows on knees. Hands loosely clasped. The watch he removed earlier still resting where he left it. Face down. Time moving anyway. The message on the phone remains unopened. Screen glowing against the dark. White light in an otherwise dim room. He glances at it once. Looks away. The pool outside reflects fragments of neon from distant buildings. Blue water. Still surface. No ripples. A helicopter passes far above. A brief vibration in the glass. Then nothing again. He leans back slowly. Head against the couch. Eyes tracing the ceiling. Lines. Angles? Perfection in design. No imperfections visible from here. The phone lights up again. Same thread. 2 messages now. Unread. He doesn't flip it over. Doesn't silence it either. Just lets it sit there, glowing, fading, glowing again. In another part of the city, music is louder. In another room, someone says his name. Up here, the name has no echo. The kitchen remains untouched. One glass on the counter, half water. Condensation sliding down, leaving a small ring on the marble. He notices it. Doesn't wipe it away. Midnight passes without announcement. The building's lights shift to night mode. Hallways dimmer. Lobby quieter. Security cameras blinking red in steady rhythm. He stands. Walks toward the window. Stops halfway. Changes his mind. Sits again. The message notification preview shows only the first few words. Not enough to understand the tone. Enough to feel unfinished. He runs a hand over his face. Not tired. Not energized. Just present. The air feels cooler now. He adjusts nothing. Lets it stay. City traffic thins slightly, but never disappears. There is always movement somewhere. Always noise. He remains still. 30 years old. In a room designed for gatherings. Alone. The piano waits in the corner. Keys untouched. The art on the wall fixed in place. Expensive silence. His phone screen lights once more. 3 messages now. He exhales. Slow. Doesn't reach. Outside. Sirens in the distance. Brief. Fading. He leans forward. Forearms on thighs. Hands hanging loosely between his knees. Head lowered slightly. The light from the phone casts a faint glow across the floor. He He watches that instead of the screen. Watches the light. The air conditioning continues its steady rhythm. A constant backdrop. He stands again. Walks to the balcony door. Slides it open just a few inches. Cool air slips in. City noise grows louder for a second. Then settles into the background. He steps out, barefoot on smooth tile. Looks down at the streets far below. Cars like moving dots. Windows lit in other buildings. Other lives stacked in vertical rows. He doesn't stay long. Steps back inside. Closes the door. The hum returns to dominance. He picks up the phone finally. Holds it. Doesn't unlock it. Just feels its weight. Screen dark now. No glow. No words visible. He places it back down. Carefully, as if it might break the quiet. He sits once more. Same spot. Same posture. The room unchanged. Outside, the city continues. Inside, only the low breath of conditioned air. Scott's Maphuma, 30, sitting there. No one knows what he's thinking. The phone lights up again. He doesn't move, and the night holds its shape.